600th touchdown ball.
Yeah, and I am just perplexed by so many of my media colleagues that I don't know, just don't understand logic, economics, and the marketplace. So this guy gets handed Tom Brady's 600 touchdown pass. He then gives it back, and now we're finding out he's getting maybe a Bitcoin, some season tickets, $1,000 in Bucks merch, and a couple other things. When the obvious move is to keep it and to auction it. Now, folks out there are like, oh my God, has everyone become so jaded where you can't just give it back to Tom? Let me just explain to America something very quickly. If you are given something that a super rich person wants, by auctioning it, you are giving it back to them. You know what you're giving it back to them for? The fair market value. If that football is worth $500,000 and Tom Brady doesn't want to pay $500,000 by winning the auction, then he didn't really want it. This isn't someone's lost engagement ring in Central Park. This is something that is super valuable to one specific person who happens to have hundreds of millions of dollars. Fella, I understand, in the moment you might not have realized it, but the folks out there acting like he made the right decision or this is the right call. No, it's not. If that football really mattered to Brady, he'd have won the auction if this guy would have put it up for auction. Instead, he's going to get some jerseys that every time he looks at it, he's going to see a new house he could have bought with the money from the football. Terrible deal all around. I'm very disappointed in some folks that don't understand that. Auction it, pal. Auction it. Brady would buy it. So silly.
Easy come, easy go. Give it back. Hey, USC needs a new coach. Former USC great Carson Palmer went on Dan Patrick's show and floated out an interesting name, Mike Tomlin. Take a listen.
You've got a wild card like Mike Tomlin. That if Mike Tomlin wants out,
has Mike
USC,
Tomlin hypothetically been discussed?
I'm sure he has. I think anybody is a potential candidate right now, and that's what's so great about the job is it can lure an NFL guy in that's tired of their current situation and worried about, is Ben Roethlisberger gone? Is he done? Who are we going to draft? Does Mike Tomlin have to start over with a first-round young rookie quarterback? Everybody's on the table, being that job is so big and so coveted. I think there's a bunch of people that are in the discussion. And once we get to week 16, 17 of the NFL season and the college football season is over, we'll have a direct front runner.
Whoa, hold on. Is Mike Tomlin actually on the board? I was not expecting that at all. So there's two things that are either happening. Either Carson Palmer is actually sharing news that Mike Tomlin might be in the running, or he's saying, you know what, this job is so good, we could even attract an elite NFL coach from the idea that he's sort of juicing the pot for the actual coach that they will get from the college ranks. Nick, which side of this are you on? Do you think that Tomlin's a real option, or it's Carson Palmer just sweetening the pot?
I think it's the former, not the latter. I think USC clearly, like Carson Palmer, I think it was, if you watch the whole exchange, wasn't supposed to say that and was a little sheepish that he did say that, like, oh, maybe I revealed something I wasn't supposed to. So I think USC pretty clearly thinks maybe they could get Tomlin, but I also don't think they can get Tomlin. I just don't think the top tier NFL coaches want to go back to college where you have to recruit year round. Now, I understand the attraction of living in Los Angeles, all of that, but Tomlin is a borderline Hall of Fame NFL coach. If he wanted to move on from Pittsburgh, I feel like he wouldn't have to go to a bad NFL team. He could, it seems to me, Wilds, like you were putting Belichick on the hot seat. Maybe he'd go to New England in a couple years. Maybe he could go somewhere where there is, more of an established, a great franchise like the Steelers. So no, hell, the Cowboys maybe in a year if McCarthy doesn't get the clock management stuff together. So I feel like if Tomlin wanted to leave Broussard, he could leave and not go to college.
I totally agree, Nick. I mean, you hit it on the head. Why do you want to take on recruiting
worrying about your players being in class, all that comes with being a college head coach. When in the NFL, you can just stick with football. And furthermore, Pittsburgh is the most loyal franchise in the league when it comes to head coaches.
That's true, too.
I'm not sure why I would even want to leave there, even to go to another NFL job, especially if he can get a quarterback somewhere. So I don't think he's headed to USC.
All right. Definitely needs a quarterback there in Pittsburgh. Let's play a little in or out, sponsored by Midas for tires, brakes, oil, everything. Make your appointment at Midas.com today. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's head to Cleveland now. Baker Mayfield still sidelined with that shoulder injury for the short term, but for the long term, the question remains, what should Cleveland do with Baker? According to a report, the Browns are still willing to pay their quarterback in the mid to high $30 million per year range, which would put him in line with the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott. Hey, Broussard, you in or out on the Browns giving Baker another big contract?
I'm out on it for now. And look, being a Cleveland native, I understand and appreciate that Baker led them to their first playoff win in 26 years. So there's something to be said for that. But let's keep it real. He just hasn't shown enough to make me say, this is my quarterback now for the next 5 or 6 years. Nick, you are big on ranking the quarterbacks, that you're going to have to beat going forward. Well, we got Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. That's 5 that I think are definitely better than Baker going forward. I didn't even mention Derek Carr, and maybe Trevor Lawrence comes up in there, and 2 of them are in his division. So I've got to see more from Baker before I sign up for him. And obviously the Browns are in win now mode for the next few years. Well, this offseason, honestly, I am kicking the tires on Aaron Rodgers, especially if Mike Tomlin's going to USC, right? I'm kicking the tires on Aaron Rodgers. I'm kicking the tires on Russell Wilson. And if Deshaun Watson isn't traded in the next week and a half and he gets through his legal issues, I'm kicking the tires on him. So I'm seeing if I can get one of those guys. If I can't, then I let Baker play out next year on a prove-it year. And then if that's not enough to show me I want him, then I'm franchising him for another year. So I've got at least 2 more years of he can prove to me that he's my long-term solution. So I'm out.
But the reason I'm in is because of the number. Mid-30s would not put Baker in the Dak, Mahomes, Josh Allen category. Like, Deshaun makes $39 million a year. Dak makes 40. Josh Allen makes 43. Mahomes makes 45 on average. Kyler's about to get a new deal. He's going to be in the 40s. Or in a year, he'll get a new deal, I should say. Lamar's going to get a new deal, I would imagine. He'll be in the 40s. Matt Stafford's deal, they're probably going to give him an extension after this year. He'll be in the 40s. So what neighborhood will Baker Mayfield be living in? The Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins neighborhood. When Carr gets his new deal, it's probably in the mid to high 30s. Cousins' deal is already in the mid 30s. That's the neighborhood he should be in. So I'm in on these stakes where the franchise tag makes sense if you think you're ultimately going to have to pay the guy in the mid 40s, because the franchise tag right now for the quarterback for next season would be around $40 million. So, and I understand you wouldn't have to do it for 2 seasons for Baker because you have him under contract next year already. But at this price, Wilds, I'm in on it. Now, there is a number where I would be out on it, but he would be in the upper middle class of quarterbacks, and that's when I'm ranking quarterbacks where Baker is, in the upper middle class of quarterbacks. He is right there with Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins right now, and I think he could be paid accordingly. So at these numbers, Wilds, I'd be in on it.
Yeah, so Kirk Cousins making 33. If I'm Baker and I see a contract in front of me for 33, 34, I would sign it. Or even a savvier move. So you know what? I'll take 31. I'll be more in the Tannehill range, who makes 29.5. Because you know why? Baker has such an elite personality. He can make up all of that money through endorsements and broadcasting if the Browns won a Super Bowl. Is he an elite quarterback? Probably not. Does he have 10 times as many commercials as Josh Allen and Russell Wilson? He does. The guy is like so magnetic. If he won a championship and added it to his title of being the best acting quarterback, Jenna, I know you get a little bit upset with the commercials, Jenna, but he is a wonderful actor.
No,
he could be
I
a
actually enjoy
superstar.
them.